No shot at Amy and I there. Well, I think what you're going to see from our members especially, and I am going to just ask one of our members, new chairs, to just speak briefly because she was a part of helping us redesign. And that's the advantage we have in the House. And we have a lot of members that not only are they experienced, they're knowledgeable, they're ready to come in on day one. And what you're going to see, especially from the committee design structure yesterday, you're going to see our folks come in, hit the ground running. We're very proud to have an exemplary bunch of chairs that are not only folks that have been involved in the process, but have been involved in the redesign process. Some of the ideas you're going to see, to those of you who are regulars here at the press corps, aren't going to be new ideas. Sorry. The shiny new object's not going to come out. These will be things we've heard of before. Representative Abler, Representative Holberg, Chair Davids. These are things that we've talked about before. Now that we're in the majority, we're going to make those happen. So I'll take it over to Amy and then Mary Liz after that.
Okay. All right. Well, good morning, everyone. So, yes, yesterday we unveiled the sleeker, more user-friendly committee structure, and so this morning we're releasing the names of the folks that are going to head up those committee structure. The Senate committee chairs have been leaders in structural reform and policy innovation, and I think you're going to see some very exciting things. We're pleased with the list, and I'll hand it over to Mary Liz.
Well, thank you all for coming today, and this has been really exciting, having been a member of the House for 12 years and watching the change, ebb and flow of different committee structures, process, how things happen. We are committed to making sure that we have a transparent, efficient process. Some of you that have been around for a long time know that last session we had both a Finance Committee and a Ways and Means Committee. Just the pure paper shuffle, moving bills between committees, everything's going to be a lot more efficient. And then, of course, something that wasn't covered very extensively, but when we get to Conference Committee, we actually have the spending accounts lined up with symmetry with the Senate. So ever since I've been here, I think we did in 2 weeks what didn't happen in 40 years, in that the budget, when it comes out, can be prepared according to the symmetry of the committees in the House and Senate, which again is going to make life easier for lots and lots of people, and more importantly, for the public, it makes sense. And so we're thrilled. We think a lot of really good things are going to be happening, and I guess we're going to stand for questions.
How is redistricting going to work with this one committee in the House and without one in the Senate? Is this one committee for redistricting going to be sort of the central location for redistricting policy going forward?
Sure. It was actually my understanding that there was a different type of structure the last go-around for redistricting. There was a House committee, and then the Senate did a subcommittee under rules, and that would be our anticipation to do that. So we'll be two committees working on two different bills, but ours would be a subcommittee of the rules.
How will the concept of seniority that has generally been what gives people a chairmanship that isn't necessarily true here tell us about your attitudes in both chambers on that?
Go ahead. We took that into consideration, Mary, but there were multiple factors that went into that. Senator Julianne Ortman headed up our team. It was a working group on committees made up of the members that made recommendations to leadership, and we made the final calls. But there were just a number of factors, and for us, it was a focus on the mission. Just as the committee structure, we tried to focus the committees on, what are we trying to accomplish for the people of Minnesota? The same thing with the committee chairs. That was the biggest consideration, is who will be able to work within this framework best, and who will be able to get things done for the people of Minnesota. So that was the overarching question.
Sure. May you have hurt feelings, though, when the tradition has been around here for decades and decades that seniority gets you a chair, and that's not true anymore?
The great thing about this is, and of course it's politics, so it's a tough sport, but what we're finding is this is really sort of just the beginning of leadership opportunities, and we talk about that a lot within our caucus, and the leadership team is very serious about that. This is really just the beginning. We've got subcommittees to deal with, we've got commissions that we are going to have opportunities for leadership. So I see this as just the start, and we have a tremendous pool of talent, and we're going to utilize that to its fullest.
Yeah. And from our standpoint, you look at the list of chairs, are folks that have been leaders not only in the majority but in the minority. If you're willing to step up, you had a good idea, you're willing to not only, it's one thing to offer an amendment on the House floor, it's another thing to carry a bill, to offer the caucus's position on, whatever, their tax bill, whether it's SOTA reform. So that was a part of our consideration as well. But we've got what I would consider a strong varsity, but we've got a heck of a JV too. When you look at some of our second and third members, it's always fun when you go to practice when you have a good team. When the offensive practice against the defense, and you're playing a better team, internally than you are when you play your opponent. We've got the same case. So our vice chairs and some of these committees are going to be just outstanding members. We're going to look to them to be a part of it, especially where we combine some of the committees, the policy and the financing together. Our vice chairs are going to be an integral part, especially those committees where they're combined like that. So I think it's experience. Yes, it is some experience. I mean, obviously, Ways and Means Chair Holberg, Mary Liz has been around here long enough to know how the place works and how it works well. Give her the CEO job at any Fortune 500 company in Minnesota, they'd make more money, they'd be more efficient, they'd be better organized. I'd be happy to put her. She can't leave now. So, it's on paper now, you got to stay. So. But we have our best foot forward in a lot of these cases, whether it be from seniority, but whether it also be from ideas and willing to take to go beyond and to be bold. We're going to be very bold with a lot of these things. Amy and I are committed to that when it comes to the bills, when it comes to redesign, when it comes to listening to the voters of Minnesota. So I think we put our best foot forward in a lot of cases, but we've also got a great bench.
Representative Holberg, you have one of the toughest jobs, I think, in the next year for sure on budget cutting. What are some of your ideas about this? Can you cut this budget, prepare a budget without raising taxes, cutting $6 billion?
I'm completely convinced, without a doubt, that we're going to be able to do it. And how we're going to be able to do it is with all the people here bringing their ideas forward.
What's the big area you want to look at?
Well, I think you have to look across the board. No stone should go unturned, if you will. And we have to really hone in on, I was here during the Ventura administration, and one of the terms that he would use is necessary versus nice. I mean, I think we have to go back to that model. What's a necessary role of state government, and maybe some of the niceties don't survive.
And when you say across the board, do you mean that literally, across the board cuts?
That would be, as far as looking at stones, certainly. I mean, I don't think that any area should be off the table as far as exploring opportunities for efficiencies. But in turn, this caucus and the Senate caucus will put a list of priorities together and fund those highest priorities.
Representative, you mentioned niceties. What are those niceties that you could say right now?
Well, again, it's going to be a group process. I have my own ideas, but I think good leaders.
Which are?
What are they?
Well, again, good.
You've been around here a long time.
Right. Oh, wait a second.
Not as long as Pat.
Much older than you are.
Are you insane, Kessler?
Yeah, well, on a side note, I lovingly refer to the Ways and Means Committee as the Ways to be Mean Committee, so that may be some indication of where we go on some levels. But again, I don't view this as a top-down process. It's going to have to be a bottom-up process. We have great chairs in every one of the areas. And so while certainly I have my own opinions, it's going to be up to the process and everybody putting their ideas on the table.
Your opinions now are very, very influential. What are they?
Well, you're giving me much more credit, I think, than I deserve. Again, my model of leadership is not one of being dictatorial. It is one of fostering a process in which everybody feels involved and has buy-in. And we have constituencies out there, too, that we have to work with. And so, we've heard from the public loud and clear through the election process, and now we go to work.
Oh, well, yeah, no, I just, you've got to give our chairs a little time. We're just announcing this morning, Pat, and I appreciate what you're saying. They are going to be extremely influential, and that's why Mary Liz was chosen. That's why Claire Roebling was chosen to be finance chair over in the Senate. Senator Julianne Ortman is going to be our head on taxes. Senator Jeff Michelle running on business, industry, and jobs. These people were chosen because of their skills and their talents, but we got to give them, a little time to get their committees together here.